Good evening, everybody. How are you doing? Hey, KB.
Yeah.
So, y'all, we were supposed to be talking about Black Cake, the finale of Black Cake, but I'm sorry, the Johnathan Majors news, and we couldn't get the times together. KB has been sick, and Tawana's had family in town, so we were just let's and then so I said let's just change it up. let's just change it up. We will come to you with Black Cake, hopefully, in this hopefully in upcoming week. But listen, um, our boy Johnathan Majors, and KB's also a Marvel person, but she's also my legal counsel, my legal question. I have all kinds of legal questions for her. So we've come to you with the Johnathan Majors news, and we were talking about this beforehand. Before I only have 2 slides. It was real quick when I texted her. So first, before I pull up the actual what he's been charged with, or convicted of, KB, what do you think? What are your thoughts off the dome? As soon as the video came out, I sent you the video. Just what do you think?
So when you sent me the video, I said that I think that's what the attorney should have released if she could have, what Johnathan Majors' attorney should have released instead of the text messages, because I think that the text messages weren't as clear. I think the video of him running away from his ex-girlfriend were clearer that he was trying to get away, and I think there would have been a different narrative in the public if that was the first thing that we saw, right? The first thing that we saw was him running away from this woman, or his ex-girlfriend, trying not to call her a woman, Miss Jabari.
Grace
Jabari, right? So if we,
Mr. Jabari, yes.
Yeah, so if we see him running away from Grace Jabari first, then I think the public narrative would have been, oh, this white woman is claiming that he assaulted her, but clearly he's running away.
Right.
And then that would have been the narrative. And I think there would have been more of a public outcry and more pressure from the public to not go through with the trial. Problem is, we started with the text messages that objectively looked like someone trying to convince someone that they hit not to press charges.
Right, because the text messages, I won't tell the police that you did this, okay, don't worry about it, it's okay. And even before this video came out, was the audio of him saying, we've all heard about the audio of him saying, I want a Coretta Scott King, I want a Michelle Obama, like, and then the next week this video comes out. So yes, so if we had seen, the narrative would have been totally different. The narrative would have been totally different. So now that the narrative has absolutely, and I understand, I absolutely understand and agree, blame the victim, or not, don't blame the victim, you trust the victim, this happened to her. But then I said, gosh, but what all happened? What was going on in this car? There's more to this story. And then we see pieces of it, pieces of things. So now, and you're also a Marvel person. You're also a huge Marvel person too.
Marvel fan, invested in the King Dynasty. Yeah.
So okay, so so he was acquitted. I'm gonna pull it up.
Wait, actually, before you do that, let's take this down for a second. I'm going to talk about Marvel, because there's a little thing that I don't know too many people knew about. So after Johnathan Majors was arrested, Namor, the actor that played Namor.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. His ex-girlfriend also accused him of assault. So this is another thing in the Marvel universe that people just did it. It was very quiet because a lot of people said they had a tumultuous relationship, that it wasn't, she was just trying to pile on, and it wasn't what you thought it was. Because again, everybody really liked Namor, if you see him in public, he's really talking about we need representation. And so that was squashed from the beginning. But that's another thing in the Marvel universe, is that Namor was also accused of assaulting his ex-girlfriend.
Wait a minute. You don't mean Tinoch, right? You mean Tinoch?
Yeah. Yes, to no
What? Like
Yes,
assault?
no yes.
No, no, no. No, you're absolutely right. Like I heard about this and then just didn't hear about it anymore.
Yeah, because everyone says that, she's just making it up. And yeah. So when you said the thing about believe women, it's these are two people from Marvel, two tumultuous relationships, two ex-girlfriends. They said no, like he's really, really nice. So a lot of people came to his aid and said, no, he's really super nice in person. Like it's really her. It's just Johnathan Majors didn't get the same on his side.
Very interesting. You're absolutely right. Because I remember this story, and this was this was assault. This was an SA. This wasn't just like an altercation in a car or what have you. This was an absolute assault. Like, and I don't I have his name, but as soon as I typed in his name, this came up, and I knew it. I know exactly. I remember this, but I don't have all the things in front of me right now, so I don't want to bring that up. But yes, you're absolutely right that this is going on, and you see how that was squashed so quickly. Now, if I remember correctly, did she report it immediately?
No.
And the police didn't get involved. And so, like with this, we have video, we have, tape and things like that, unfortunately. So yeah. And I don't mean unfortunately with Johnathan Majors. Unfortunately, she that got squashed very quickly, is what I meant. What I meant by that. But you're absolutely right. Tinoch, yes. Huh. Very interesting. So let's get into this, because let me pull this up again. But I also want to talk about what he was acquitted for too. So he was so these are the charges, but he was acquitted for aggravated assault. And what was the other?
So it's also okay. So you're looking at these charges, right? So the first one is all right. So I'll start with the assault charge.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the assault person is guilty of assault in the third degree, and it was also assault in the third degree, with intent to cause physical injury to another person. He shows such injury to such person or a third person, right? So that was the first one. It was the intentional assault. That was the first charge. Charge number 2 was the reckless assault, which is that second prong. So it's like, or he recklessly caused physical injury to another person. Then there would be negligent assault, or with criminal negligence, he causes physical injury to another person by means of deadly weapon or a dangerous instrument. So if you're looking at the first prong for the intentional third degree assault, he has to intend to cause physical injury to her, right? The one that he was actually charged with is he recklessly caused physically injury to her.
Explain that a little bit. He recklessly caused. I understand that he was the unintentional. Like you're doing something and you cause bodily injury. You cause an injury. You're doing. We could be talking or we pass by each other and you fall. Like that's unintentional or what have you. But of course, this was worse. But that's the unintentional. Explain the second charge though for me.
Okay, so that is actually unintentional, right? So the second, the intent is that he actually intended to injure her, right? And so what the jury found is that he did not intend to actually injure her,
right?
Right. What the reckless intent, and this kind of goes to, there's kind of two intents under the law, right? There's the intent to injure, which is what a lot of people think intent is. But there's two, right? So he did not have to intend to injure. There's a second intent, which is intend to make that movement. So where they're saying that he assaulted her recklessly, and it's by putting her in the car, she probably injured her finger going back in the car, right? Did he intend? That's the intent, to put her back in the car. And so if
Yes.
his movement is he intended to put her back in the car, then he moved with intent, and that recklessly caused the injury. His intent wasn't to injure.
Wow. So intending to make that movement, which we all saw the video, and you could see he's putting her back into the car,
Mhm.
that he's intending to make that movement, and that caused the injury. Wow.
Those are
Okay.
the elements that they had to prove. And so once you understand that that was the elements that needed to be proved, that's how you get the guilty. And you don't get the aggravated, which is the intent to injure.
He didn't intend to injure her. He intended to put her back in the car and like to stop her from, stop doing these things. And that's what he was. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I need to know. But also this can be up to a year in jail. Am I right?
Yeah, so the combined charges are up to a year in jail or probation. So they're all misdemeanor. What he was found guilty of is all misdemeanor charges. So for me, I feel like in looking at the totality of the evidence, including him running away from her, I think he should get probation. I don't think he should do jail time for this.
Hmm. Now, where are you licensed? You're licensed in
New
Pennsylvania and
Jersey, New
DC?
Jersey, Pennsylvania, and DC.
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and DC. Okay. Okay. So you think that because these are misdemeanors and looking at everything, that he's probably going to get probation.
I want him to get probation. I
Okay.
don't. I'm not gonna, gamble one way or the other. Like I think he should get probation.
Okay. Okay. Understood. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you then, with the video, looking at the video, listening to the tapes, looking at the text messages, what did you think, besides, this is what we should have seen first? Um, was this inevitable? Was this just about to, that this was about to happen? What did you think?
I feel like this was a PR nightmare, and I think it all started with his attorney, right? I really do. I feel as though the charges should have been dropped. I understand his attorney appealing to the public first, but I think she should have had behind the scenes conversations with the district attorney first. And if anything, release the video of him being chased in the street, right? Because again, if you're looking at the harassment charge that he's charged with, right? And the DA is like, I'm not charging her. He's guilty. We're going forward. And you're like, no, no, no. And I release the text messages. Now imagine I release the video of him running, right? And I say, look, they're charging him with second degree harassment. And you look at point number 2 under
Mhm.
second degree harassment and tell me you didn't see her doing that to him.
Okay, so this is what I want to go back to, because you were just explaining this harassment, right? With intent to cause physical injury to another person, he causes such injury to such person or to a third person.
Yeah, so
And
that
then
would be aggravated. That's the
okay,
assault. So
that's
that's
all.
and this is the other thing with assault, because I think a lot of people just naturally put assault and battery together,
Mhm.
but they're two different charges, right? So assault is essentially a threat of violence. It's not actually hitting. Battery is hitting the person or something on the person. So you can batter someone. If I'm wearing a purse and you hit my bag, you've battered me. So it's not like it's the threat of the assault and then the actual like
Isn't it?
hitting.
Mhm.
So so even when people do like this and they want somebody like you have now committed assault. And so it's the little things that people don't recognize that you were committing these crimes, which is why a lot of times lawyers tell you to shut up because it's like you don't realize that you are unintentionally admitting to crimes.
Right. So the battery is like could be the threat of the crime, and
No,
then the
assault is the threat. The battery is
yes.
the actual hitting.
Okay, got you.
The
Okay, the
actual
battery
physical
is the
contact is
actual.
battery.
Okay. So that's okay. So let me talk. So let's talk about real quick because you had mentioned the lawyer beforehand, Priya Chaudhry and his legal team. What did you think of them? Because it's so interesting. You're saying that it kind of not made a mockery, but they shouldn't have gone this route with these charges. Go ahead, speak on that a
So
little bit.
so there's two problems when you have a famous client, right? Well, you can't even say police. There's problems when you're representing the defense. So number one, especially when it's a famous defendant, because number one, your initial problem is you have to fight the charges with the government, right? With the New York State government on this side. And then you also need to try to save his career. So you kind of have to also work as a PR agent.
Right.
So in PR, just generally, if the attorney said nothing to the public or released the video of him running away from
Mhm.
Grace Jabari, there would be two different conversations.
Right.
The the catalyst, or I can't even say the catalyst because him getting arrested, there was a person on Twitter that said that they used to work with Johnathan Majors and that he was a bad person, and everyone seems to love that. And I remember that coming out. And then there was an article that also came out where they kind of
Mhm.
go through all this shit. So those were
Right in
already
the bank.
in the ether, right?
Yep. And it
I'll say,
almost really quickly too, right?
yeah,
Quantum Mania came out in February. March, this incident happened, and then right after the incident, I used to work with him when we were in school, and he's not a nice guy. And then this other person, just it was like it was a domino
yeah,
effect, and
yeah.
nobody, like you just said, kind of got on top of this. I almost think. Do you think that it took a long time for them to string this video together? Because to me, I was like,
I don't know. I don't. I probably, but I would have released it first. This is the text messages were not. She'd be like, "Oh, we got the smoking gun." There were these text messages. I wanted the text messages to be the smoking gun. I wanted them to be, and even I looked at them and I said, "That's not
it's not enough,
like it's not like it's not landing the way that you thought it would land."
right?
And for me, I knew then that the lawyer was going to be a problem because like if you think that these text messages are your smoking gun, you are absolutely wrong, and it's there's nowhere to go but down from here.
Hmm. So looking at the video, I'm sorry, and I'm trying to pull the video up right now, and I had it, and so looking at the video, when I was like, funny, not funny. It's just like they streamed this. I was like, what? Why is he running through the New York streets like this? And where? What is going on in Chelsea? Because I was like, wait a minute. If this is what really happened, yo, as you just said, why didn't we see this months ago?
Mhm.
Why didn't we see this months ago? I was like, and this man was booking through the streets, and she was chasing, she was behind him for a good bit, for a good bit. He was
Harassment in the second degree follows a person in or about a public place or places. Yes.
say that again?
The harassment in the second degree, that's the one closest to Jonathan Major's picture.
Mhm.
She followed a person in or about a public place or places. This is why like they should not have been in a perfect world, there would be no charges. But it's always like, because he's so famous, you had to bring charges, but we're also not charging her. But clearly, what you saw was harassment, and her committing harassment in the second degree.
Right. Wow.
That's
So,
why
okay, go ahead.
I'm going to say that's why if the video was released first, the narrative could have been right. The public narrative would have been, okay, here they're trying to harass, they're trying to charge him with harassment. This is the statute. This is what you're seeing her do to him in the video.
So let's go back
And
to that really quickly, because in the beginning they were saying that they were going to be bringing charges against her,
then
and
they did.
that fell by the wayside, basically.
Mhm. But again, thinking about everything that you know about the public and everything you know about Twitter and everything you know about Black Twitter and the Marvel Universe and everything that you know about people in the internet. If in March you saw that video of him running, and I told you the statute says a person follows someone in place or places, and they're charging him with it,
Right.
what would the conversation be?
It would definitely been different. If they had put that video out first, there would have been the conversation would have been totally different. And honestly, it probably would have been no case, as you just said. Wow. Hmm. So
That's
okay,
why
so
I think like the lawyer's conversation with the public, you have to work twice as hard. Like you have to be the defense, but then you also have to be the PR person.
So let's go over these tapes of her video. I'm sorry, her recording him saying that she comes home drunk. I want you to be a because then they bring character witnesses against him, and they're bringing all of these other things. And honestly, feel like Johnathan Majors, he said I got to handle my own PR. That's why he's coming every day with Megan. Good, he's making sure I got to handle my own PR, and that this is the actual type of man I am, not this man that the public has painted me. So let's go over this recording that we heard about. First of all, the fact that she's recording this.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. It's fine. Go ahead.
I feel like you have something to say.
No, I wish
she's recorded this. Okay, I'm gonna finish. The fact that she's recording this and she's gotten that specific part right. And I want you to be a Coretta Scott King. I want you to be a Michelle Obama. I was like, this man is saying, don't come home drunk. Like, but you're also talking to a 30-year-old European woman who you met as what was she, a background dancer on a movie. Yeah. Like, you're not, if that's the person you want, that's not, that's not who you're getting right now. So, and also don't have these arguments while she's pissy drunk. This just not, don't have these arguments while she's drunk, because she's not understanding that. Okay. Okay, Druzy, you didn't see them. And actually, this is the craziest thing, y'all, because my Canva went down. That's why I've been like talking to KB and looking for, I'm like, what the heck happened? Because I had the video on the second slide. And so now, so he's running from her. Why wouldn't they have put that video out? That's what we're discussing. And KB is saying if they had put that video out first, before these audio tapes, before these text messages, I think this video just came out. The actual, and honestly, they streamed this video together. Like they had this in an editing booth. I'm sorry, but they really put some work into this video.
Yeah. And the other thing that the lawyer did early on too was she you can put that back up. Yeah, she put the text messages up. And then the other thing, she had the video of her partying in the club. And it was the most grasping at straws PR attempt, when if you just released the video of him running away from her, I think it would have been more clearer for everybody.
Yes, or seeing her talking to these strangers, these poor people outside of a club, and they just have been piecemealing the defense together this whole time, instead of I feel like it wasn't a clear defense. What actually happened? What was this conversation? And I mean, it doesn't look good. It was clear the man was probably cheating. It was, or he was seeing, he was trying to get with somebody else. Okay, but he's not illegal. So, but then so she wants to see his phone, and I was like, this just reminds me of Rihanna and Chris Brown, like getting stuck trying to see your man's phone, and he's not going to give you up the phone. So hold on, y'all. My Canva is just like not coming up, and because now I got two things going. Hold on, because I had the video on the second slide. Give me a second. And just don't stop grabbing on men's phones. Like, but now the PR, like you're right. As an entertainment, is she an entertainment lawyer, Priya Chaudhry?
I think she's a criminal lawyer. And the other thing that we were talking about earlier is that she was also the defense attorney for Jen Shaw from Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yes. Oh, that's why that triggered me to ask, is she an entertainment lawyer? Like, what is her background when you said that? Hold on, y'all, because my Canva's not coming up. I had it all set up on the second slide. But yes, so Druzy, the video came out, I would say, what was that, a couple of days ago? Over the weekend?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it was Thursday or Friday. And when did I send it to you guys? And immediately I was like, wait, it looks like something happened in the first video, like he's trying to get away from her. And then that video came out Wednesday, because immediately as soon as I saw it, I said, hey, Motown investor. And so I was like, what is happening?
Are you able to put the charges back up? When I sent you that slide.
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
What's famous last words, Motown investor? Let me get Canva back up. Give me a second, y'all. So
yeah, that Michelle Obama credit's got me. Yeah.
And honestly, as soon as you said it, I said, oh, you've just opened yourself up. Johnathan Majors is for people to call you all kinds of things, and look who you're talking to and everything. And I'm like, honestly, I was like, he's trying to say, stop coming home drunk, pull yourself together, stop acting, you're young. Like, I need you to be more like your name. Your name is Grace. Like, that's what he was trying to say. But she's not. How can she relate to that? How can she? How can she relate to that? So yeah, hold on, y'all. My thing. Let's see if I can present it again. Okay. Came up. Thank goodness. That was gonna drive me nuts. Okay. Now it's not presenting. Okay, that's all right. I'm not gonna worry about it now. I'm gonna go to this. Let me see if it's not gonna go full screen. Okay, it's not. It's playing with my emotions, y'all. Hold on a second.
Okay. All right. I can say what I was gonna say. All right. All right.
Go full screen.
Now that there are more people here, I was going to summarize what I was saying about the charges.
Okay, let me go back to the charges. Okay.
Are you going to try to full screen? Or can you enlarge this?
Yeah, let me see if I can. What's wrong with my presentation thingy? Aha. Can you? There you go. They can't see us, but okay. Can you see that? Let me get this off of there. Okay, can you see that?
I can barely see it, but it could be me.
No, my Canva's messing up on me. Hold on a second.
Right. So essentially, he was charged with 2 counts of assault in the third degree. The first one was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And for intentional assault in the third degree, it's with intent to cause physical injury to another. He causes an injury to such person or to a third person. So I was saying that he wasn't found guilty of the intentional assault because he didn't have the intent to assault her, right? That's the intentional slash aggravated assault in the third degree. He didn't have the intent to assault her. The second one was the reckless assault in the third degree, and that is he recklessly caused physical injury to another. And in that, you have to show that that person had, if there's a second form of intent, and it's the intent to make that movement, and he intended, and what they're saying with the assault, the reckless assault in the third degree, was he injured her when he was pushing her back in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And so he intended to make the movement of pushing her back into the car. And so that was the reckless assault that he was actually charged with. So all they had to prove really is that he intended to make a movement, and then that movement caused harm to her.
Okay, y'all, we got an actual lawyer here. Y'all see the degrees behind her. If you have any questions, put them up, because that is, I feel like that's key. Wait, I think this will do it. I think I'll be able to put this one up. This presentation view. Nope, my presentation view is not working. Sorry about that, y'all. So I'm gonna go back to this one.
The other one is harassment. And so he was charged with 2 counts of second degree harassment. One was the intentional harassment, and there is also a reckless harassment charge. And so I don't think we really went over that one. But in the intentional, it's like he or she strikes, shoves, kicks, or otherwise subjects such other person to physical contact or attempts or threatens to do the same. Or 2, he or she follows a person in or about a public place or places. And to Drewsy's point, I'm saying when I'm watching that video, and this would be where the PR is, we're watching her follow him in a public place. So that's second degree harassment. And so if that was put out into the public first, and then the narrative was, I'm watching this video of her following him, and they're charging him with harassment, but you can clearly see she's the one that's following. The public discourse would have been different, and they might not have brought the charges just because the outcry from the public would be, why are you charging him when I can clearly see she's the one that's doing it?
She's chasing him and he's trying to get away. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so that third prong under harassment is he or she engages in a course of conduct or repeatedly commits acts which alarm or seriously annoy such other person and which serve no legitimate purpose. Right. And so this is where we're coming out with the text messages, the phone calls. Like it's just essentially you're annoying somebody, right? For no reason.
Yes, go over that a little bit. So you're annoying. Wait, the text messages is like, so he was charged with annoying somebody. Like, go
so
a little bit.
You're showing this pattern of behavior where this person is harassing / annoying, right? So, if he's berating her on a consistent basis, you did it, yay! Yeah, we did it.
I am determined, boy.
Yes. So yeah, if he's like berating her constantly, or if he's yelling at her, that can be harassment. Yes. But again, from what we've seen, she's also harassing him. We all that cannot be denied. We all saw it.
Right.
It's in the video.
So let me go over this a little again. I think I asked you before before more people came in here, because wasn't there going to be charges against her? Because now, in seeing this, could they bring charges against her again? Well,
They can bring charges against her. I think the problem is that I think they wanted to only have charges against him to make the case against him stronger,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now that he's found guilty of these things, they can bring charges against her. But part of the problem, and again, he has the right to appeal this decision.
Absolutely.
This is the problem. Like, so he has the right to appeal, and obviously, if you bring charges against her, it's like I've like you also see that she assaulted me and she harassed me. So how am I the one that's guilty? So I think the decision is not to bring charges against her.
Because now it
But
looks worse.
again, this is the statute. This is the actual letter of the law. And I'm telling you, we all saw her follow him in or about a public place or places. So it's
Now it
not
looks
as black
worse.
and white as a lot of people would love to make it seem. The other thing that we said before a few people came in is that a lot of times people misconstrue assault with battery, and assault is the threat of violence. It's not the actual hitting. Hitting is battery, right? And so battery is when you actually hit a person or you hit something on their person. The assault is just the threat of the violence. It's it's like, you know, this or yelling, like that's the assault. And a lot of times people, this is why the attorneys tell you to shut up. You don't recognize that you are admitting to assault a lot of the times, but you can be admitting to assault. Like
I'm just
if you go talk to the police or something, you might not realize that you are confessing to some things because these are the simple elements of the
right.
case.
Well, and while you're saying this, I'm remembering when he first called 911 when, he finds her asleep on the floor, passed out after, the night of drinking and everything. And he's like, I noticed a cut behind her ear, or, or he said, my ex-girlfriend, well, we had a fight and I was at the hotel. um he seemed very calm, but to your point, you're like, he could be admitting to something right now. He could be, we had an argument or we had a fight or whatever. Like, any second now he could be admitting to something that he doesn't know that he's admitting
Yeah.
to. Interesting. So you think he's going to be, well, your hope is that he's going to be paroled.
Probation.
Probation, sorry. Probation, sorry.
Yes, yes.
Yes. How long probation do you think he could get? Because it could be up to a year in jail.
Yeah, so it could be up to a year in jail, and I feel like maybe 6 months. That's I don't
6
think
months
he should.
probation.
I don't think he should do jail time over this. I really don't. And again, if there was a better PR person, if anybody in the Marvel universe, well, I mean Disney already dropped him, but if any of the PR people, because again, his PR team dropped him, that would have been my PR strategy. Look at this video. Look at this statue. Who's doing what to who? But
So
we
to
don't have that.
Drewzy's questions, she's talking about the timeline. We talked about this earlier. Quantum Manium came out in February. March, the incident happened, and then right after that, you had somebody on Twitter. Oh, I worked with him when he was in school. He's not a nice guy. And then somebody else said, this all, like, it was a domino effect. February, then March, the incident happened, and then it just all came out very quickly.
Yes. So
And
this
so, go
okay.
ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
finish. Yeah.
Well, I thought that one of the charges was because of the conversation. That's why it was the annoyance. The charge was the annoying because of the text messages and because of how he was talking to her,
Yeah.
annoying someone.
It's that course of conduct, a
That,
repeatedly commits acts. Yes. Yeah, so
mhm.
this is all still under the statute of limitations. Is this all just happened this year, right? Like so all of this is still
It just seems like a year. It just
yeah,
seems like
yeah.
a year ago.
It's
Quantum.
forever. Yeah, it's been forever ago. Yes. But that's why the jury wanted to watch that video and hear the tapes again because these are this it's still within that time period, right?
Mhm.
And that we're saying these repeated acts of him. I want to credit Scott Kane like this, and then also that video of what happens as soon as they get out of the car what's like this motion of him pushing her back in the car, what is that? And they have to think, did he intend to hit her, intend to hurt her at that point, or not?
He like it looked like he was trying to put it to me,
Mhm,
Crystal, that she's trying to get out of the she's trying to, come at him or get out of the car, and he's like, "No, stay in the car." But just that force of action and him being a very large man
mhm.
and a very, could be very forceful. We saw at the beginning of the tape, although Juicy didn't, that motion there could have hurt her finger, could have, certain things could have happened. And so seeing after it that he's like saying, "No, stop. I just needed to," I felt like he just wanted to get away. He was like,
Mhm.
I wanted all of this to stop. And honestly, also the driver of the car, the car service driver. Go
Yeah.
ahead. The car service
No,
driver
yeah,
was
you
saying,
said that.
she was doing everything, he was doing nothing.
Nothing.
That was
Yes,
that's literally what was that man's testimony. She was
yes,
doing everything, he was doing nothing.
and he was a witness for the prosecutor, for the DA.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so, okay, so them calling him, why did that have that? Okay, so that had an effect on it being not forceful. That had an effect on the difference in the charges, I feel like. Am I right? Because yeah.
Yes, yeah, because he wasn't intending to hurt her, right? And so her, from my understanding, her testimony is basically he hit her. She took the phone and then she felt this thing on her shoulder. So she's trying to testify that he intended to cause physical injury to her.
Mhm.
Right.
But it could have been just, taking the phone away from her. It could have been like she said she felt something behind her. It could have been that.
Yeah. And the driver is saying that she did everything, he did nothing. He wanted to get away. He was trying to get away. And when the driver said, I think the driver said like he's trying to get away, or I think he was trying to get away, like however that was. The prosecutor said, "Don't insert your opinion because you can't speak to whether or not he was actually trying to get away." We see that in the video, right? But he's already inserting an opinion. He was trying to get away. He was trying to make it stop. That's an opinion, not admissible. It's actually an opinion. But but also with the first impression, because he was actually on site. So it was his on site fresh eye opinion. So this whole evidence separate trial for whether or not that gets admitted, or a separate hearing for whether that comment gets admitted. But the driver is saying that he was trying to get away. She did everything. He did nothing. We don't see any of that. It's just the driver's testimony. Getting out of the car, what we can clearly see is him, and you see the arms going like this, and her coming out. You see her holding onto the arm, and from my understanding, that it's them. The assault comes from her getting assaulted with him trying to put her back in the car, and
Mhm.
not necessarily what happened inside the car. It's from the video that we see of him trying to put her back in the car, where he's intending to move her and she unintentionally gets injured.
Yeah. So that's where this charge comes from. This was not intentional. I'm just reading this with an intent. Okay, with intent to cause physical injury to another person, he causes such injury to such person or to a third person. He
So that
recklessly
would be the intentional or the aggravated assault. That was the first charge. That was charge number one, which he was found not guilty on.
What is this? He or she engages in a course of conduct or repeatedly commits acts which alarm or seriously annoy. Okay, that's the text messages. That's the conversation. That's all of
Yeah.
that
So that's the fourth charge of the harassment.
of the harassment. Man.
Mhm.
So with this being said, y'all, so okay, like you were saying, PR, like Marvel Universe, that's dead because we also
Yeah,
know that that's Marvel has removed him, Disney has removed him, his management has dropped him. What do you think this next course of action is in the next, let's say, next 6 months to a year? I mean, it's absolutely a rebuild, like because his
uh,
trajectory.
yeah. So he has either 15 days or 30 days to file an appeal. I would immediately appeal. That's number one. Get a new lawyer. Number two. Yeah, yeah. When she led with the text messages made no sense to me personally. It made no sense. So yes, appeal, new lawyer. I don't know what can happen, unfortunately, even on this appeal, because
I'm listening.
because the bar, it's not even the bar, it's the elements are so low that we even see it. What I think would be, okay, this is on the fly, and this is very like on the fly lawyer move. Let me just go ahead and say that. I know what he should do. I got it. Civil case against her for assault and harassment. He should file a civil case against her for assault and harassment. Change the narrative, right? So you sue her for assault and harassment using the same evidence that was against you, because like I said, we all saw her harass him. And you can kind of infer that she hit him using the same testimony, the same, like basically the same evidence from this trial. If she gets found guilty in a civil case of assaulting him and harassing him, that kind of helps to flip the narrative that she was hitting him. And also, you don't actually have to find it beyond a reasonable doubt like you do in a criminal case. So he can
Mm-hmm.
even get like heavier charges too. And if he charges her civilly with the assault and harassment, it can start to change the narrative, kind of like what Johnny Depp did.
I'm just rethinking of the Depp, the Johnny Depp case. So if
Johnny
he
Depp.
does that immediately, because okay, do you think he should do that before the appeal? Like he needs to do that immediately?
I think he can go through the appeal. I just don't, I'm not hopeful of the appeal. I'll just tell
Yeah.
you, I'm just not that hopeful of the appeal. Um, but even if it doesn't go through, so if he doesn't file an appeal, if he's just found on probation, I think he should still go through with the civil case against her.
Okay. So that'll help change the narrative. But earlier when we were talking about this, you said that that's going to look like he's now going like kicking her when she's down. Like he's already, we see
No, no, no.
he's
Well,
already, she's,
it was
he's already beating her up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how's that
no.
going to look?
I think it
As-
was because of the evidence that we saw first. The first thing that we saw was the text message, right?
Mhm.
And if we're watching the text messages that the lawyer put out first, it did look like a classic abuse case, right?
Yes.
That's why I wouldn't have done that at the beginning. That made no sense. With this video, it makes more sense because again, with these cases, it's not necessarily that you need to show this with harassment. Yes, you have to show a pattern, right? If you're going through this pattern, but you can just go through that one video. Will it look retaliatory in a legal sense? It could. It could. But also, if he doesn't, the Drizzy's question would suing her look retaliatory?
Right.
Yes,
That's
it
what it
really
kind of
could.
thing. It would look like, oh, he's trying to retaliate against her. Now it just makes him look worse. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it could. But also, without it, his career's just over, period.
Say it again.
Like, his career's just over now, period.
It's
Everyone
done.
dropped him. Our team dropped him. Like, everyone has completely dropped him. So it's almost like a now what with his career, because even if he gets hired for something, then no one's going to come because they're like, oh, you beat women. So part of the problem is that the headline is, and again, you saw the headline, he's found guilty of assault.
Right.
People don't know what assault is, and they're not looking at the statute, and they're like, he was found guilty of assault, so haha, he assaulted her. When really the assault is so it's like he unintentionally hurt her while he was putting her back in the car. That is assault.
That's it. I got the text messages, y'all. So that's what I was multitasking down here. 1 second. So I will not go to the doctor if you don't feel safe with me doing so, or don't trust me to. I promise I would never mention you, but I understand your fear. So of course he's saying if you go to the doctor, it's gonna look like a black man like hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't reject love if there's no love. So okay. I want to go back down. And then I'm a monster, a horrible man, not capable of love. I'm killing myself soon. I've already put things in motion. Oh my gosh. So, and that was part of the defense as well, that they had a nice lunch or they had brunch or whatever. And then, but at brunch, he started, going into this, I was going to say mental diatribe. I was going to say like he's going into all of these words about, um, suicidal tendencies and things like that. What did you think about that? What did you think about, because it came out of nowhere, I feel like.
Yeah.
It just, I was like, where did this come from? You guys are having a nice, for in her words, flirty brunch. And then, but at brunch, he's saying all of these things. So it just came out of nowhere.
Were some of the text messages redacted too?
That's what yeah, right here.
It's not, yeah. The problem is, the problem with this situation, in my opinion, it's both of them, and it's not
Yes.
one against the other.
In her opinion only.
He's just going to feel the consequences of it. So the consequences are going to be one-sided. Her life changes, in maybe she's getting harassed online. I don't know, right? But it's one-sided consequences. But I think both people were doing the actions.
There's definitely was manipulation on both sides. And this was basically a very unhealthy relationship.
Yes.
That's what I've gotten from it. That's what I was like, this is not a good, healthy relationship. And because these text messages are from last year, from last September.
Yeah, he did have the most to lose.
Yes, he absolutely had the most to lose.
Yeah.
So, and as you just said, it brings up a pattern of behavior to bring these text messages from last year, from last September up. And now this happens in March. And now, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, going back to your earlier question about what to do now, I don't know how I don't know how he spent his money, because you got to think about, and you know this, Crystal, there was a actor strike, a writer strike. So people haven't been working in who knows how long. And so they weren't able to make money. Now he's not going to be on a TV show for who knows, or a movie for who knows how long, right? And what does he do now for money? He's a young guy. What does he do now for money? So he could, in some of the PR ways that I've seen people handle certain situations like this, is going away for a while and then trying to pop back up later. rehab or counseling and then coming back and saying that they've changed, or like I said, with the Johnny Depp situation, just doing a civil suit. Which one he chooses to do, I don't know. But in the interim, I don't know what he does for money. Hopefully he saved his money.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got a level of protection, financial protection for himself. And he's created a nest egg for him and his family in this interim, because as I just said, it's going to be 6 months to a year for, and I honestly, I think he should, listen, go away for a while, go away for a year or two, come back, rebuild, do some, do some other things. It's going to have to be a rebuild for him. He did that rebuilding. He did that, or did that building up from Lovecraft Country, before Lovecraft Country. I can't remember, but yeah, that's what I first saw him when it was Lovecraft Country. But yeah, and then of course Creed and things like that. So
Yeah,
he's had to do.
yeah.
Say it again.
The harder they fall.
The harder they fall. Yes, thank you. I was like, I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, but so he did that building, and now, and that's kind of what he said in the tapes. Like, I did the building, I did that. So,
Yeah.
And humbling himself. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what I think. He's got to hide out and return, and he's got to hide out. There's a lot of therapy that he's gonna have to go through to figure this out.
Yes.
Yeah.
He needs to go through therapy just regardless. I think because one thing that I haven't heard being discussed, I think people dance on this little topic, but not full out discussing this, is that again, we say it was both of them. It wasn't a clear cut thing, but there's something about you that you need to heal if you're going to stay in it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a level of chaos that was surrounding this relationship, regardless of whether you're full he's an abuser or she's just 1,000% a victim, or if you think that it was both of them. There was a level of chaos in this relationship, and this is the thing that broke them up. They weren't broken up. Like it wasn't even clear to me that this incident even broke them up, right?
No.
But there's a level of chaos in this relationship, and there's something about you that needs to be healed if this is a relationship that you're willing to be in.
Let's talk about this for a second. Do you think if the police weren't called and this wasn't captured on video and so on and so forth, would they have been broken up?
I don't think so.
I don't either. I think that this arguments have been happening. I think that he may not have looked at her as his forever person, or somebody that he wanted to marry. Like, I think that he was, coming into his own as far as his celebrity. So that's what he was doing, and that's what she was, dating and everything. I think that that's what that was. But I don't think that this would have broken them up. I don't know. I think that, he said, "Oh, I'll go sleep in. I'll go to a hotel, take her back to the house, and give it a day or two, and then they'll get, be back together." You know what I mean? So I just don't know if this was not recorded to the level of that it was, would have been the straw that broke the camel's back? I don't think it would have. And that's honestly, and thinking about these text messages, this was September of 2022, right? And this happened in March. So honestly, if you really think about it, this was building and building and building. If these, you've got to get out of the toxic relationship. You got to, this is not going to help. If you have to learn from your mistakes, or you have to learn from, certain situations. Yeah. And when you don't, and you keep staying in it, yeah, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. They would have both stayed, and it's not good. Yeah, and I'm also not convinced that between the time that they officially broke up and the time that he started dating Megan Good that he did the work. I don't know him. I can't say with positivity. I just have a gut feeling that he didn't do the work yet.
I honestly think that in his mind, he was still just dating around. Like he was coming into his celebrity and he was doing his thing. I just don't know that she may have thought that this was a relationship that they were living together and they were, she, Grace Jabari may have thought it was one thing, but I don't know that he thought it was that same thing, you know? You know what I mean? A man's thinking it's one thing, a woman's thinking it's another. And so I don't think that
That's
of course he hasn't done the work. He hasn't, he's probably doing therapy now. That's probably a condition of what's going on. You need to while we're going through this court case, get some therapy, sit on somebody's couch. But mm-mm. Because it was too much, it was almost like it was a very immediate, him just starting to date Megan. It was very immediate.
yeah. A lot of things with this case was very immediate. Honestly, it was weird. Was even going back to March, his PR team immediately dropped him,
Oh
which
yeah.
was weird to me.
Why do you think that? To me, just even the allegation, just even the rumors of it.
You were
I
just
think,
like, yeah, that makes sense for them to just drop him.
yeah, just drop them. If things coming out, there's some people like, of course, um, what do you call it, with Disney and Marvel, they were saying, well, let's hold on, let's wait because it doesn't sound like it was what everybody is saying it was. Let's wait, but then now, guilty, dropped. Like a lot of things, like he had several things happening going into 2025, and they're like, nope, cut.
Understand.
Just the
But
allegations. Unfortunately, he's a big black man, and they dropped him. But you even mentioned Enoch, Tinoch, and he's got better PR people because
well, this is what I was gonna say with Johnathan Majors. I felt like part of the PR thing was his lawyer, right? Because and you used to work in PR, I believe, right? Is if if as a PR person you saw the video of him running away, and I was talking to you as the PR, wouldn't that have stopped you from just dropping him right away, or you think no, you still drop him right away?
no, I wouldn't have dropped him right away. But at the same time, I'm like, how did they stream this video together? This took a long time to get all of so I wouldn't have dropped him right away. But this
Yeah, so that's why I think the video, if the video was dropped earlier, then the narrative would have been different. But
if
I
the
think
video was,
that
yeah,
yeah, I think that excuse me, the attorney believing that the text messages proved his innocence made no sense. It made no sense. Even reading
no.
the text messages, I'm like, why do you think that this helps? It doesn't.
Honestly, the text messages seem like he's having like a mental breakdown. The text message, I was like,
Oh
these.
no, not those text messages. One where she was saying, I told the police that you didn't hurt
Oh, that's
me.
right. The first one,
The one from the beginning, yeah.
very beginning, I wouldn't do that to you. I won't give your name, but I have to go to the doctor. Yeah, that one. Absolutely. It doesn't look
That
good.
didn't help. Yeah.
It doesn't help. It didn't help the situation. It does sound like that he didn't want her to go to the doctor. It does sound like he didn't care about her well-being. And it doesn't look good for him. So they're just like, let's just cut this right now. And if everything I'm sure that he was on the phone immediately with everyone, his agent, PR, everybody, and they said, if everything goes well, we'll pick you right back up. But right now, we got to just cut it. I think
Yeah.
that's what happened. I think that's what happened. Yeah. And I'm just the way they streamed that video together. I don't think it was immediate. I think they went and found they had to go really searching to find that video like that and stream that video together like that. So, but I'm not. But I'm like, it took 9 months though. If that happened in March, it should
That's
not
the
have taken
thing.
9 months to show
Yeah.
that video. I'm just surprised that it took. There had to be if there was video footage of that of the car service and everything. No, they can expedite things like that. So this should not have taken 9 months to get that video like that. So yeah, yeah, there's just a toxic relationship, and it didn't look good. It looked like, hey, He's getting text messages from other women. Okay. That's just he's a celebrity. That's what he's doing. He's not. But so yeah, I definitely think he should just go away. Just go out of the limelight for at least a year and come back. Um come back fresh. That's what I think. What do y'all think? Drew Z, are you still there? What do y'all think? Do you think that this is should he just go, leave for a year, at least 6 months to a year, and then come back fresh? I don't think, with Marvel being so huge, because that Kang was, I mean, he was going to be doing Ant-Man. What was it? Go ahead. Do you know you because I know you're a Marvel guy. You're in Marvel.
Oh wait, no. So he did Ant-Man. Was it Ant-Man
Quantum,
3? Yeah, it was Ant-Man Quantumania that had
oh,
just come out. It
right.
was Quantumania and then also Creed 3
Of
that were out at the time.
Quantumanium grossed 450 million worldwide at the box office. That came out in February, and then of course, then the video, this altercation happened in March. So yeah, Ant-Man, Quantumanium, or Creed 3, Ant-Man, and Quantumanium. Yeah.
Wait.
Was it?
You're making it sound like Ant-Man and Quantumania are different movies.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Because
Right.
you said Ant-Man, Creed 3, Quantumania.
No, I said all three. It was separately. So it was Creed 3 and then Ant-Man. Right. So yeah, I just think he should go away and then come back. But if he were to, okay, last thing. So the civil charges, we've been going back and forth with this. So do you think that he should just right now give a civil case against her? I'm sure he's probably going back and forth about that just because that might just make him look worse.
So
It
I would
retaliatory.
so I would test it, right? So um I think he's now in that Johnny Depp category, right? Where Johnny Depp had all of these cases with Amber Heard. And to be fair, Johnny Depp was found guilty of abusing Amber Heard in Europe, I want to say, too. And he brought the civil case against her in the US. Part of Johnny Depp's problems, again, dropped by Disney and couldn't get movies, he was in, there's a Harry Potter, that sequel, the Harry Potter prequels movies that he was in, and people were like, "Oh, he's an abuser," and so there was all this I can't even say confusion, but all of this stuff going around, like, "Oh, don't hire Johnny Depp. He's an abuser. He's this, he's that," And a lot of people are still sticking up for him and saying, "No, Johnny Depp's not an abuser," and it was hard for him to keep acting, and so then he had a civil suit. I foresee Johnathan Majors also having a hard time getting movies.
Right. Absolutely.
I see him having a hard time. And again, it's because of the narrative that was out for so long. And even within the Black community, there isn't one single narrative with Johnathan Majors where I think it could have easily been this. It could have easily been a narrative of this is a white man claiming that this Black man hit her, right? And we've seen this before, that could have easily been a narrative, but it wasn't. And so now and again, his attorney doesn't help. And I can't even say his attorney doesn't help. I'm saying it because it's how you present the evidence, and it's really me being lawyer speak right now, as opposed to looking at the actual situation. But it doesn't help that what we've seen from his attorney is a text message that makes it seem like he's now trying to convince a person that he's hit not to go to the police. Right. And then the next thing that you see is her outside talking to people. I don't know if you saw that video first too. Her outside talking to people as if he had just hit her. And the last thing that we saw was him running away from her 9 months later. So we've now had 9 months of thinking that this man was guilty and trying to cover it up. And so anyone that was like, well, you never know, wait till the evidence, every little piece of evidence kept going towards this other narrative until the very last thing.
Because, and you're right, and I said this earlier, that we've been fed these different, pieces piecemeal. Like we've seen, okay, we saw the text messages, and then we saw a little piece of video of her partying in a club. Then we saw a little piece of evidence of her talking to some people outside of a club. And I'm like, are these people that she knows? Like, how soon after the altercation with him was she talking to these people? And now we see that it was right after him running from her. Now we see the whole video of where it started, to her talking to the people that she doesn't know, and that she's just introduced to and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're also, again, another argument that was made ahead of, again, the video of him running away from her is is that she's out partying.
Right.
She's like, and would she be partying if she was injured? And like,
that was what the lawyer is saying. Your issue
land the way that you think they land. They don't land.
Yeah, that's what you were saying with the issue with the lawyers. Don't say, oh, if you hurt your finger, why would you be out partying? That's not the point. That's not the point. Did he do what he was what you said he did? So yeah, Motown, we were just talking about that earlier, is that yes, I did hear the same thing, that he could get up to 1 year. But what KB is saying, that she's hoping that he just gets probation. So he could get up to 6 months of probation. It could. Go ahead.
So going back to those charges, right? If you have intentional assault, there are sentencing guidelines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with the sentencing guidelines, if it's intentional, then this is the time that you can get. If it's reckless, then this is, and so it's less. And so based on the charges that he was actually convicted of, he can get up to 1 year. Or probation, like it's probation or up to 1 year in prison.
Mm-hmm. Okay, which makes sense, because it was unintentional from what we're seeing here. Well, of course, that's what he got convicted of. So it you're hoping. I don't want to say you're saying it's most likely, because you don't know, but it could be probation. Okay. Yeah, this
and I would say, I will add the reason why I hope, or I want it to be probation. It's not. I know we talked about I watch Marvel, but that's not it. It's not because like, oh, I love Marvel so much. I just I want Kang to be out. It's that I'm watching it and I can see that it's both of them doing it, and so for me, it doesn't make sense for one person to go to jail and then the other person not to have any charges whatsoever. That's honestly what
you as a lawyer.
Yeah.
You're saying that it's best that he should have the civil case against her at least.
No, that's not what I'm saying. For him to get jail time,
okay.
So this is why I'm saying why I want him to get probation, is because as I'm watching the video, again, we talked about the harassment, right? Harassment being chasing someone.
Right.
I saw her do that to him.
Yeah.
So I can tell she's also doing it. I would feel differently if it was very obvious that he was assaulting her and he was harassing her and she was just a innocent victim. But I'm watching a video of them doing it together to each other.
It was very clear that she, even as soon as they got out of the car and they're right there on the curb, like they're right there at the corner of the street, he's trying to get away and she's trying to
grabbing him.
Yeah, she's grabbing him and trying to keep him and talk to him or see the phone or whatever she's doing before he starts running. That part before he starts running, like he's trying to get away.
Yeah.
And stop her. And so like as you just said, they're both of them doing it. She is chasing after him.
Because again, so we already went through the harassment being the chasing, right? Now, let me put the assault on her. Just from watching that one video. What do you think happens when she catches up with him?
She tries to get the phone again, or she tries there's definitely a physical altercation. That's what I would think.
And that would be assault.
Hmm. Okay.
So he's like so
Trying to stop he's trying to stop
stop an assault. Yeah, so that's the part where I'm saying I'm watching a video of them both doing it.
Right. They're both doing it to each other. So there should be something.
Yeah, and there were pictures of him having scratches on his face, and I think scratches on his arm, right? So if she is grabbing him, she's either intentionally causing a physical injury, or she's recklessly causing a physical injury to him. So I'm watching her assault him and him assault her,
right,
and her harass him and him assault. Like, we're watching them doing it to each other. So that's why I say I would want him to get probation, because in my mind it doesn't make, as I'm watching that clear video of where you can see them, not what we're inferring from what's happening in the car. It's not fair to me for him to go to jail and for her to just be scot free.
Do you think they're gonna have anger management classes or domestic violence classes? I know. Well, in California, now I assisted at a before I moved to LA in Oceanside. There was domestic violence courses, and a lot of the women that went to domestic violence courses it was majority. Now some were doing their own thing, doing it, but on their own. But the majority was fight back battery. So they got a year of domestic violence, 52 weeks. Anger management was 90 days. So there could be that as well, on top of counseling on top of that as well. Do you think that could be part of the
I don't think it's appropriate here. The anger management, I don't think so. I know you're making a face at me.
Well, no, whether appropriate or not, they still get some. They may there might be a stipulation of the case. Yeah.
No, he did anger management.
When you say you don't think it's appropriate here, they could tack it on in either anyway. So
yeah, no, they could. I mean, they could. I mean, we went through this whole trial. Sure, if they give him anger management, I think he should just do it.
Just do it and not even. Yep.
Yeah, I think honestly.
But you don't. But no, to your point, go back to your point. You said you don't think it's appropriate here. Why do you say that? Finish that sentence. Finish that thought.
I don't think it's appropriate here because the charges were reckless and not intentional.
Got it. Okay. I love when I ask you these questions. That makes sense. If it was reckless, if it were intentional, that makes sense. But this was literally and to your explanation, she probably hurt her feeling, him putting her back in the car, like that motion. He meant to do that. He didn't mean to hurt her. So that's not intentional. That wasn't domestic violence. That wasn't intentional violence. Okay. I understand what you're saying. All right. Anything else you think you want to add before we go? Marvel, what do you think is going to happen in the next? They're going to totally change the trajectory. That's what I was watching before we got on here.
Yeah,
it's going to everything.
So, I think that we're going to get rid of Kang anyway. And to be completely honest, I didn't like Kang. No, I'm like, I don't even have a dog in this fight as far as Kang is concerned. I don't even like him as a villain.
As a villain?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, it made sense if you at all watch. He only makes sense in my mind in Loki.
Okay.
And that's a TV series and not a movie. And he's been in Loki season 1 and Loki season 2, and we can be done with him. He didn't make sense in Quantumania, and I don't want to see him again.
Mm.
And I felt like that already. which like honestly, I have no. Yeah, he needs to be in Marvel. He didn't make sense in Quantumania made no sense that this is this big super villain and oh my gosh, you can't kill Kang. And it was like, where are we going to go with this?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But they could have. He could have done Loki though. He could have done that instead.
no, he did. He did Loki season 1 and season
Right.
2. It makes sense in Loki.
And Loki. He could have. Yeah.
It
Go ahead.
makes sense in Loki, honestly. As
Kept doing that. Go ahead.
yeah, but other than that, I feel like we can wrap up the Kang villain arc now.
Okay. Honestly, y'all, I agree. He's gonna have to just go, go quiet for about 6 months to a year, and rebuild and humble himself, and come back. And I'm sure that a lot of people are gonna want interviews and all of the things, but I don't even think you should do anything. Don't do any type of interviews.
No, shut up.
Just shut up. Just shut up. It doesn't.
Absolutely shut up.
Just shut up for now. Yeah. Okay, y'all. So we're gonna be doing our Black Cake. Was the season finale of Black Cake. What was it, last week before? Was it last week? Last weekend,
Yeah.
and last Wednesday. We got a lot of questions. Only one question was answered. So I think we're both praying for a season 2, because
Yeah, I think there was an announcement or article or something about season 2.
okay, because that's what I was about to look up, because they showed what was canceled, so I want to see what was renewed. They have to answer some questions for us. So we're gonna be scheduling our Black Cake review, hopefully by the end of the week, or and then Christmas Eve is Sunday, so we'll look at the dates. We'll look at the dates and see what's next. See what's next for us. Yeah. This was interesting though. I had to get on my phone, or I had to get on with my lawyer. So thank you so much. And
Yeah.
Rewatch Gang, please, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Please put them in the comments, because and we can review them and maybe talk about them next week with KB.
Let me just add one thing.
Absolutely. Add whatever you want. I told you, whatever you have at the end.
It's just in general, when it comes to a lot of these charges, is I like to start with the actual statute. So whenever there's a celebrity, even what are we talking about with Meg Thee Stallion? And
with Meg Thee Stallion and we have to start with the actual charges, what they're actually being charged for.
Look, actual charges.
I don't know his name. Meg Thee Stallion.
Tory Lanez, yes.
Thank you.
So you look at the actual charges, like try to figure out what they were charged with, what they were found guilty of.
Mm-hmm.
The actual charges, look at the statute. So put that statute in the state and look at what that actually says. Because yes, it's very easy to say, because again, this is the headline, Johnathan Majors found guilty of assault. But then you actually look at the charges and figure out what elements need to be proven, because a lot of people are arguing things that don't necessarily need to be proven in the statute.
Let me ask you a question. Someone just asked earlier about the statute of limitations. Is there even, because this just happened in March, so of course there wouldn't be the statute of limitations wouldn't be over yet, but is there a statute of limitations on something like this?
There is. I have to look it up, but that wouldn't fall under it because he was arrested that day.
Right.
Or like the next day.
Happened. Like the next day.
Yeah. So the statute of limitations would kick in if, for instance, she was assaulted.
If it was like 2 years later or 5 years later.
I'm gonna. Something else came to my mind, honestly, like Keke Palmer situation, right? How Keke Palmer has been with Darius for a while, and then some of those videos are kind of old.
They're a year
Now,
old. Yeah, that was last
yeah,
year.
and the statute of limitations are usually it could be 3 to 5 years. I can't remember what
Right.
it is, but it's different for each charge. But if it's something where we're looking at 5-year-old videos and now you want to charge them with
Mhm.
something, and even now we have like
Like,
the statute of limitations getting changed for a lot of these civil cases, which is what
with Diddy.
John Holmes, yeah, BDD is getting. Yeah, so we're changing the statute of limitations on a lot of these. This one, it doesn't come into effect because this happened in March. He was arrested in March.
Right,
Again,
exactly.
it was within days. That's when he got arrested. The
Right.
trial doesn't kick in for the statute of limitations because you can kick a trial down.
As long as it happens, as long as, as
Yeah, I
long as
have I have a case. This is not criminal, but there are statute of limitations on civil cases too. That was filed in 2018, and we're not even scheduled to go to court until somewhere in 2024
you were telling me
because
about that, your big case is still
yeah, so long. But a lot of it, like you just file motion to extend. It gets extended because of COVID. It gets extended because I have this other case that's coming up. So can we push this down the line for 6 months? Yeah, so that doesn't get it's the statute of when you actually bring the charges up, not when it's finalized.
you know, there's another trial I want or another case that I wanted to talk about, really quickly, and we don't even have the stuff up because we were concentrating on
We're
Jonathan Majors, but, the case of Hannah Payne, um,
yeah.
and, this gentleman who he caused the
Road
car
rage.
accident. Yes,
Or yes,
and he ran into a tractor trailer, but he was having a diabetic incident. He was having a diabetic incident, and she immediately goes after him, thinking that he's drunk and thinking that he's fleeing the scene. She was um, she was convicted of all 9 charges, and that actually was interesting because before we go on, you guys, KB always asks me, "Well, what do you think? What do you think?" And I didn't think that she was going to get charged of all 9 charges. I was absolutely this is malice murder. I was like, this is malice murder. He actually was there waiting before he got in the car, and fled the scene. He was there for 15 minutes. They had called the police. He was there, and it was an off-duty corrections officer said that he doesn't seem right. Something's wrong. I'm not sure. And then he's leaving. So go ahead. What were you gonna say? KB, what do you think of that? Because she was convicted of all 9 charges. She's 21. Oh, the reason why I started to thinking about that case is because this happened in 2019. 2019, and that she was
oh,
just now. Go ahead. But because of COVID, they kept extending and extending and extending. Go ahead.
I don't really have thought. I watched a video. I watched the "I'm Not a Lawyer" video of the sentencing.
Yes, yes.
Uh, but I I don't have thoughts, and I don't have thoughts until I see these statutes and then what the elements were. So that's honestly, I cannot give you an opinion on whether she was guilty or not. Right? I know she brought out the gun, and they said that there was no use for a gun, and like I'm sure the jury got it right. I just independently can't give you the same analysis that I gave this one because I didn't look at the statute.
Okay. Okay, I understand. And honestly, as you said, I also think what hurt her as well is because she was picking up shell casings. She changed her clothes. If this was an accident or if this was just um unintentional, then she wouldn't have done all those things. So yeah, but we can't talk about that case because we don't have it up, so we haven't looked at everything. But but yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you. And seeing you again hopefully in the next week or so with Black Cake. And yeah.